Greetings, and today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about capital reserves and a capital reserve fund. You can consider a capital reserve fund a lot like a rainy day fund. This is money that you set aside for those unexpected moments when you have to make a big expenditure. There's something to be separated from operations. For instance, you might have monthly mortgage payments, utility costs, or other costs. Those are operating expenses. What I'm talking about today are capital expenditures. And so let's define what exactly might make up some examples of capital expenditures. A rental turnover, when one tenant moves out and another moves in, usually is a great opportunity to upgrade the property. And so a lot of times it can be costly, especially depending on how the tenant left the place and how long they have lived in there. If the tenant has been in the unit for more than 5 years, you best be ready for some kind of improvement, repair, or upgrade. New roof is a real common capital expense. Roofs aren't getting any cheaper, and they are wearing out every day. So if you can plan for a new roof and start saving in advance for a new roof, then when that fateful day arrives, you're going to be a whole lot better off because you have a capital reserve fund. A new water heater is another example. Possibly you want to upgrade the kitchen or remodel the bath. Both of those will help to increase the value of the property, attract a better tenant, and get you a better rental price for your rental. I like to tell owners that right now it's a great time to be investing in real estate in the Seattle metropolitan area. And so any monies you can sink into your property are usually rewarded quite well. And that starts with having money set aside for a capital reserve account. New flooring is another example. A lot of people are upgrading to laminate flooring from carpet. It's a great and smart investment because the laminate flooring lasts a lot longer than carpet. With carpet, you're constantly replacing it. And with laminate flooring, you lay it down once and you're good to go. The downside to that is that laminate flooring tends to be more expensive than carpet. So having that rainy day fund helps to offset that added expense. You might have something you need to do to the driveway or to the landscaping, to the foundation, anything like that might come up. And then the perennial bad boy is the side sewer. This is the waste pipe that takes waste from the house out to the street. When it fails, there is absolutely no advance warning. You get a call, usually it's on the weekend or some other time, explaining to you that we got to replace the side sewer. And we got to call a plumber out to replace it. And I mean to tell you, side sewers are not cheap. We're talking plumbers and plumber rates. And so now you're looking at a fair bit of coin, and it's a whole lot easier on the pocketbook if you've planned for that in advance and you have that money set aside. We recommend that you set up actually two accounts. One would be a rental account for the operating expenses of the property. This might include your monthly mortgage, the utilities, any landscaping, anything that's recurring on a regular basis would come out of a rental account. This is also where the checks that we send you, that your property manager sends you, would go into this account. We also recommend that you set up a separate reserve account. Now, the reserve account is money that you're gonna siphon money away from your rental account in little bits and start funding this reserve account over a period of time. It doesn't happen in 1 month. It doesn't sometimes happen in 6 or 12 months. Sometimes it takes several years. Just depends on what we're trying to accomplish. Okay, but we highly recommend that you start setting up a cushion for yourself. This is really what experienced investors around the country are doing. And even if you only have one property, it's worth doing. So we're constantly asked, well, how much should I save in reserve? And I like to tell people, save as much as you expect the largest expense to be. That's probably going to be your roof. The roof, you can estimate a pretty good idea of how much it's going to be. Roofs in Seattle on a typical house are running typically around $7,000 to $10,000 to replace the roof, depending on whether you have to do tear off or not. The aforementioned side sewer that I spoke of, it can be just as much as a new roof. So you're probably in pretty good shape if you go with the roof as your target. But each property is different. For instance, if you have a condo or a townhouse, you may not be responsible for that roof. So each situation has to be addressed separately. At Full Service Property Management, we're very much into asset management and helping our clients maintain their properties. And so I would encourage you in getting help to answer this question, to contact us so that we can get in there and evaluate that. We actually have an asset management program that will help you to plan and make the most with this reserve account. And then finally, the other question that we're asked is, well, how much should I set aside? Well, we know that you're probably not going to be able to set aside $7,000 to $10,000 in 1 month. If you are, there's two situations. Either you are feeding the property, meaning you're putting more money into it than you're getting out. And I'm going to talk about that in a separate slide because that's still a good deal. All right. If that's happening to you, be smiling in this market. The other situation is where you're cash flowing, where you're actually have additional cash left over after you pay your mortgage, taxes, and insurance and operating expenses. In that situation, I recommend that you siphon off at least 50-50. So take 50% of what you have left over, put that into a reserve account, and spend the other 50% as you wish. If you can afford more, it's certainly a good idea, especially in the early going, just to get that reserve account funded up to a reasonable level. Once you've got it up to the target that you've worked out with your property manager, you don't have to fund it any further. Now you can use all of that money for whatever else you want and have the comfort of knowing that if you ever get that dreaded call about the roof or the side sewer or anything else, that you're taken care of. Hopefully this answers a lot of questions for you about capital reserves. Please, by all means, feel free to contact us if you have any additional ones. And thanks for watching.